weeks. Every day I try to text her. I just haven't received any comment back.
Something unusual is unfolding in Montecito, and it feels like the quiet before a storm. Rumors are that Meghan Markle may be moving closer to a reunion that once seemed impossible, reconnecting with her father, Thomas Markle. For years, their relationship has been defined by distance, betrayal, and very public headlines. Meghan herself described the fallout as a kind of emotional death, a wound that shaped her entire journey into royal life. But now, reports suggest that grief is shifting into regret, not only for her father, but for the family ties, independence, and sense of identity she left behind when she married Prince Harry. The timing raises questions. Why now? Why in silence? And most importantly, what does this mean for Harry, whose role in that family fracture has already been documented in his memoir and on screen? To really understand why rumors of Meghan Markle reconnecting with her father are rattling so many people, you have to rewind the clock. Meghan didn't always keep Thomas Markle at arm's length. In fact, growing up, she was considered a classic daddy's girl. Thomas, a Hollywood lighting director, reportedly worked hard to give Meghan opportunities, paying for her private school education and supporting her acting dreams. Meghan herself once praised him publicly, posting on social media that she was his buckaroo and sharing childhood photos that painted a picture of closeness. But everything shifted when Meghan's world collided with Prince Harry's. As the royal relationship became serious, Thomas suddenly became part of the global press machine. In 2018, just before Meghan's wedding, paparazzi caught him staging photographs, posing with books on British history, pretending to prepare for the big event. Thomas later admitted it, saying he felt hounded and wanted to control his own image.
The whole thing was a plan to actually mess up the wedding. I was just part of it. Basically, they went to my oldest daughter and convinced my oldest daughter to convince me to have photographs to clean up my image, because the photographs before that were always making me look bad. So I bought into it and went along. I regret it to this day because it was a total setup.
But the revelation blew up. Instead of quietly supporting him, Meghan reportedly saw it as a betrayal, and the relationship unraveled almost overnight. When Thomas suffered heart problems and pulled out of the wedding, Meghan walked down the aisle without him. For royal watchers, that absence was a glaring signal that something was very wrong. What could have been a moment of private reconciliation became another chapter in a public breakdown.
Or was she kind of exaggerating it and manipulating it for her favor? She was very close to her dad for years, even up to the point when she was dating Prince Harry in the beginning. He was only really cut off around the time that they were getting married. Her half-sister, Samantha Markle, says that Meghan lied a lot and wanted to keep them away from the royal family because they had tea on her. Dad started making more money by the time that Meg came into the world. So the private schools were a shoo-in for Meghan, and he paid for all of the private schooling. She also says that the schooling was diverse, and she said that Meg lied or at least exaggerated regarding her embassy work. And Thomas Markle was a really great father, with the exception of right before the wedding, he made a mistake.
Instead of keeping the matter private, both sides kept feeding the narrative. Thomas spoke to the press repeatedly, insisting that Meghan had cut him off. He called her cold, unreachable, and ungrateful. Meghan, for her part, doubled down on distancing herself. In the famous 2021 Oprah interview, she compared losing her father to losing him in death, a powerful soundbite, but one that also showed just how definitively she had written him out of her story. She framed herself as the betrayed daughter, but many saw it differently, as a woman choosing her new royal image over her own family.
Well, the bottom line, first of all, is I'd like to see them both go, all four of them go back to England and fulfill their obligation. And it's better for the children, and it's better for them. By not taking them back there, they're cheating their children. And also, it's a matter of protection. They get much better protection in England than they would in Montecito. So I really would like to see them.
The conflict even spilled into the courts. When Meghan sued a British tabloid for publishing a letter she had written to Thomas, that private communication was turned into evidence. The letter revealed how angry and disappointed she was, but it also raised questions. If Meghan truly wanted privacy, why weaponize the personal fallout in a very public legal battle? For critics, it was proof that she was willing to exploit the situation when it suited her. From then on, the estrangement became part of Meghan's narrative, one she could return to when speaking about toxic influences or personal struggles. Meanwhile, Thomas continued to give interviews, sometimes begging for reconciliation, sometimes blaming Harry directly for the fracture. His words may not have always been polished, but they struck a chord. Had Meghan really cut off her father entirely for the sake of her new life? Now, when it comes to Prince Harry and his relationship with Meghan's father, things become even more complicated.
If my wife or my child came to me and said, I'm having a nervous breakdown thinking about suicide, I would take them immediately to a doctor. I wouldn't go check with somebody first. So I think Harry dropped the ball on this, and I think he's obviously not very supportive if he didn't realize that.
So
I have yet to meet Harry.
What are you casting doubts on whether she had mental health problems or whether Harry couldn't help her?
I think a little of both. I think maybe Meghan was a little dramatic here, and I think Harry was a total failure as a husband, because if a wife or a child of mine came to me and said, I have psychological problems and I'm not thinking about suicide, I would get them directly to a doctor.
The public often frames Meghan's split with Thomas as the result of staged paparazzi photos, a missed wedding, and hurt feelings. But dig a little deeper, and Harry emerges not as a background character, but as a driving force in the estrangement. From the moment he entered Meghan's life, Harry seemed determined to cut Thomas Markle out of the picture. In interviews and later in his own memoir Spare, Harry admitted that he viewed Thomas as a liability. He suggested repeatedly that Meghan distance herself from her father to avoid embarrassment or scandal. On the surface, this looked like protection, but when you strip away the glossy framing, it resembles something far closer to isolation. The Netflix docuseries offered even more clues. Harry openly described how uncomfortable he was with Thomas speaking to the media, framing the older man as unreliable and untrustworthy. Rather than encouraging reconciliation, Harry's advice leaned towards severing ties altogether. Meghan's eventual silence toward her father wasn't spontaneous. It followed Harry's blueprint. And by putting this strategy on camera and in print, Harry essentially confirmed what critics had long suspected, that he actively steered his wife away from her own family.
She had a father before this, and now she doesn't have a father.
She doesn't have a dad? What a farce. You know who doesn't have a dad? Me. And millions of others out there who would kill to have just one more Christmas with them. Just one more chance to hug them or spend time with them and put any BS misunderstandings behind us. Her dad has had 2 heart attacks and a stroke. He lives just a few hours away from her, but now he's dead to them? Because he didn't deal well with the paparazzi? He's ghosted? I guess Harry's her daddy now.
This is where Harry's narrative begins to unravel. For years, he has cast himself as the victim of a cold institution that cut him off from loved ones. He has railed against the royal family's tendency to put image over relationships. Yet in his private life, he seemed to replicate the same behavior. With Thomas Markle, Harry acted less like a bridge builder and more like a gatekeeper, controlling access and defining who was safe for Meghan to be around. Thomas himself has been blunt about this dynamic. In multiple interviews, he has said Harry never reached out to him directly, never picked up the phone to introduce himself, and never tried to build trust. Instead, he claims, Harry hid behind Meghan, using her as the go-between until communication stopped altogether. To Thomas, Harry wasn't the supportive son-in-law he expected. He was an arrogant royal who cut ties before ever shaking his hand. The fallout between Meghan and Thomas Markle has been so public, so bitter, and so final, then the obvious question is this: why are reunion rumors surfacing now? The answer may have less to do with sudden forgiveness and more to do with timing, optics, and strategy. Over the past few months, whispers have circulated that Meghan has been privately rethinking her decision to cut her father off. Tabloid headlines speculate about regret, while so-called insiders claim that grief is morphing into guilt. But look closer, and you'll see a pattern. Meghan's California fairy tale isn't shining as brightly as it once did. Public enthusiasm for the Sussex brand has cooled. projects that once promised to cement their power couple status have stalled or been quietly shelved. Even their Netflix deal, once touted as a blockbuster, has been criticized for under-delivering. Against that backdrop, a family redemption arc suddenly looks like an easy way to grab sympathy and reset the narrative. Adding fuel to the fire, paparazzi activity near Thomas Markle's home in Mexico has reportedly increased. Coincidence? Maybe. But when old social media posts, like Meghan's sentimental Father's Day shoutouts, conveniently resurface at the same time, it starts to look less like nostalgia and more like a warm-up act. Media watchers know this playbook well. Lay the breadcrumbs, then deliver the reunion. It's a tactic designed to create a wave of attention that Meghan can ride, whether the reconciliation is genuine or not. The timing also matters because of Meghan's personal life. Rumors about cracks in her marriage to Harry have been gaining momentum. He has been spotted at events alone, and insiders whisper about the couple living separate lives more often than not. If Meghan is preparing for a new chapter, whether that means separation, rebranding, or simply a shift in strategy, reconnecting with her father could serve as the perfect pivot. It allows her to reclaim the devoted daughter role, softening her image at a moment when public sympathy is running low.
First up, let's talk about Prince Harry and the state of things, so to speak. Since the coronation and that infamous car chase through New York, various reports have suggested that the cracks are beginning to appear. Last week, we brought to you fresh news that Harry had been staying at the San Vicente bungalows to take a break from his family, despite owning a sprawling Montecito property together with Guesthouse. And this week, those rumours are intensifying, that all is not well. We will cover them in detail with our panel shortly, but let's just say apparently the divorce lawyers have been contacted. Insofar as Harry is concerned, it looks as though he's getting to the fork in the road.
Of course, Meghan has always been media savvy. She knows that perception often outweighs reality. Reuniting with Thomas, even in a carefully staged way, would flip the script. For years, critics accused her of abandoning her father in pursuit of fame and status. A reconciliation, however polished, instantly blunts that criticism. Suddenly, she looks like the bigger person, willing to forgive, while Harry is left in the shadows, remembered as the man who encouraged her to walk away in the first place. Now, this version of her life sold to the public, Sunshine in Montecito, a Netflix empire, speaking engagements, and global influence, hasn't lived up to the glossy marketing. The cracks are showing, and they're hard to ignore. When Meghan and Harry first stepped back from royal duties, their story was framed as a bold new chapter: freedom from the institution, the chance to tell their truth, and endless opportunities in the US. Fast forward a few years, and that glow has dulled. Their Netflix deal produced only a handful of projects, with critics dismissing some as underwhelming. Spotify cut ties entirely after one lackluster podcast. Hollywood, once eager to embrace the couple, seems less certain now. Behind the scenes, whispers about brand fatigue suggest the Sussex name doesn't carry the weight it once did.
This is the most real episode for her because it's the most boring. And I really think that is Meghan. I think she has no sense of humor, no charisma, no charm, no wit, I'm not just trying to be mean. I'm really not. Maybe she has those things, but she does not show them. She doesn't, ever. So these are just my opinions. She just doesn't seem to she seems to take herself and everything else very seriously.
The struggles aren't just professional. Meghan's personal life appears strained as well. Prince Harry, once inseparable from her, has been spotted at events alone. Reports of the couple spending increasing amounts of time apart have circulated for months. For a marriage that was built on a me and you against the world foundation, even subtle distance looks like collapse in the making. And if Harry is indeed pulling away, Meghan may be looking for a new support system. And re-establishing ties with her father provides both emotional cover and strategic backup. Even Meghan's carefully created California image feels less secure. Once framed as the epitome of aspirational living, yoga, wellness, sunshine, and philanthropy, it now looks more like isolation. Critics note that she isn't seen with a strong circle of friends, that her mother Doria's presence has reportedly diminished, and that she's increasingly on her own. In that vacuum, turning back to Thomas Markle, despite all the baggage, offers a chance to project family ties and stability. One of the most surprising developments in Meghan's current saga isn't about Thomas Markle or even Prince Harry. It's about the quiet withdrawal of Doria Ragland, Meghan's mother, and once her most trusted anchor. For years, Doria was presented as Meghan's steady support system, the dignified, calm figure who contrasted sharply with the drama of Meghan's estranged father. She was the parent Meghan chose to highlight on the global stage, the one who sat proudly at her wedding, who posed beside her in carefully curated photos, and who was woven into the strong mother-daughter bond narrative. But lately, something seems to have shifted. Insiders whisper that Doria is no longer as present in Meghan's life as she once was. Reports suggest she has distanced herself from the Montecito household, possibly even moved out of Meghan and Harry's mansion. Paparazzi, who once regularly caught glimpses of her near the couple's home, have noted her absence. While no official explanation has been given, speculation runs rampant. Some claim Doria is simply tired of the constant drama. Others suggest she doesn't agree with the way Meghan and Harry have handled their public battles. Whatever the reason, her silence is deafening. This distance is more than just a personal loss for Meghan. Doria represented credibility. She was the quiet figure who never sold stories, never gave damaging interviews, and always carried herself with dignity. For a public constantly questioning Meghan's sincerity, Doria was proof that at least one family relationship was intact. Without that visible support, Meghan looks increasingly isolated. If Doria really has pulled away, it strips Meghan of one of her strongest narrative tools, the image of being a devoted daughter who still had one reliable parent by her side. Critics argue that Doria's absence could also be linked to the growing fractures in Meghan and Harry's marriage. If their relationship is under pressure, the household dynamic may have become strained, and Doria could have chosen to remove herself rather than take sides. Others believe Doria is disillusioned by the very lifestyle Meghan pursued. After all, Meghan painted her royal exit as a way to prioritize family and peace. Yet, years later, there's more drama, more division, and fewer genuine connections than ever before. Perhaps Doria, the once loyal ally, has simply had enough. And here's where the irony hits hard. Meghan may be preparing to reconnect with Thomas Markle at the very moment her bond with her mother appears to be cooling. It flips the script in a way few would have predicted. The toxic father becoming the potential ally, and the supportive mother slipping quietly out of the picture. If this reversal is real, it doesn't just complicate Meghan's personal narrative. It exposes the fragility of the brand she and Harry have worked so hard to maintain. No matter how much Meghan Markle tries to control her narrative, there's one reality she can't escape. The media will never stop being fascinated with her, and nothing drives that fascination quite like her relationship with her father, Thomas Markle. For tabloids and entertainment outlets, the Meghan Thomas storyline is a goldmine. It's messy, emotional, unpredictable, and it taps into universal themes of family conflict, betrayal, and potential reconciliation. In a media landscape driven by clicks and drama, it's the perfect storm. Since Meghan entered the royal sphere, Thomas has been a constant headline generator. The staged paparazzi photos before her wedding, his absence on her big day, his teary interviews about being ghosted, his health scares and pleas to reconnect. Every chapter has fueled headlines worldwide. And Meghan, whether intentionally or not, has added to the spectacle by refusing to engage directly. The silence only makes the public hungrier. Every rumor, every whispered update, every resurfaced quote becomes a new hook for the press. The obsession isn't just about Meghan, though. It's about the contrast between her and her father. Meghan has carefully crafted an image of glamour, control, and exclusivity, while Thomas represents the opposite, a working-class background, messy interviews, and raw emotion. For the media, that contrast is irresistible. It paints Meghan as cold and calculating to some, and Thomas as the wounded, ordinary father left behind. Whether those portrayals are accurate almost doesn't matter. What matters is that they sell, and they sell big. Let's not forget the palace factor. British tabloids in particular have always been eager to weaponize Thomas against Meghan, painting her as ungrateful or disloyal. If reconciliation rumors turn into reality, those same outlets will spin it as a victory, proof that Meghan is rewriting her story, but also proof that Harry has been pushed aside. It's the kind of narrative the British press lives for, because it ties back into the royal soap opera that sells papers and drives endless debate. Now, it's not just Meghan's father or mother caught in the spotlight, her extended family is too. And honestly, they might be even worse for her image. Let's start with Samantha Markle, Meghan's older half-sister, and perhaps her loudest critic. Samantha has been a permanent thorn in Meghan's side for years. From the very beginning, she's accused Meghan of abandoning their father, forgetting her roots, and climbing the social ladder with little regard for family loyalty. She's given dozens of interviews to tabloids, appeared on TV specials, and even written books positioning herself as the insider who knows the real Meghan. One of her most famous nicknames for her sister? Princess Pushy. Not exactly the term of endearment you'd expect during Meghan's royal rise.
That runs through her life is she's blowing up families. I mean, she seems like she's really caused a lot of problems in her husband's family. Clearly, she's gone after your family. Is that something you saw in her before?
No, we were kind of puzzled when both sides of the family were kept away from the royal wedding, and we started wondering, what's up with this? Like, why? And we started to realize, aha, when you have a wedding and people start drinking champagne at the reception, they start talking.
Right.
So what could the motive be for keeping both sides of the family away?
That's right.
The stories would come out. So apparently, according to other journalists, we found out that there were a lot of porcupines probably told to the royals and even to Harry when they met her. And in order to cover up, oh my God, so you didn't get grants and scholarships. You never worked for the embassy. What do you mean you only did a 5-week study program? So our Uncle Mike, who worked for the embassy.
Samantha has also been litigious. In 2022, she filed a defamation lawsuit against Meghan for comments made during the Oprah Winfrey interview and in the biography Finding Freedom.
Huge update in the lawsuit against Meghan Markle filed by her half-sister. Samantha Markle sued Meghan for defamation. After Meg's interview with Oprah, the unauthorized biography Finding Freedom, a lawsuit was brought in March of 2022 filed by Samantha where she was seeking $75,000 in damages. She claims that she and Meghan were close during childhood but drifted apart after she started dating Prince Harry, and that it was defamatory that Meghan said she grew up as an only child. After the interview, Samantha says that she was subjected to negative press. However, a Florida judge has officially ruled that Samantha cannot sue Meghan for defamation over claims made in that interview. The judge goes on to say Meghan cannot be found liable for statements she made in a book that never got published. And that saying she grew up as an only child is a protected opinion, again, not something you can sue her for defamation for. You can be assured there's more to come from Meghan, so stay tuned.
Though the lawsuit ultimately collapsed, it showed just how determined Samantha was to challenge her half-sister publicly. Even in defeat, she kept the feud alive. Then there's Thomas Markle Jr., Meghan's half-brother. He hasn't been as consistently vocal as Samantha, but when he speaks, people listen. Back in 2018, right before the royal wedding, Thomas Jr. famously wrote an open letter warning Prince Harry not to marry Meghan, calling her a jaded, shallow, conceited woman. That letter went viral and painted him as yet another estranged relative cashing in on the Markle drama.
And especially how she treated her father, who gave her everything in life, which goes back to what you said earlier about growing up poor and underprivileged, was the complete opposite. I mean, that's just another one of the malarkey stories she sold to the royal family for sympathy.
Even with me growing up, it was so much fast food. And yes, I get when you're on a budget, it's super affordable, but it costs you so much in the long run.
But when you have a garden, of course, having a garden is like printing your own money.
I love that.
And it never happened.
But unlike Samantha, Thomas Jr.'s tone has shifted over the years. At times, he has shown flashes of regret and even hinted that reconciliation could be possible. He has done reality TV appearances, including Big Brother VIP in Australia, where he softened some of his earlier criticisms. So why do Samantha and Thomas Jr. matter now? Because Meghan's rumored reunion with her father changes the playing field. If Meghan goes back to Thomas Sr. and presents a public forgiveness and healing storyline, the next logical question will be, what about her siblings? If she's willing to forgive the parent who sold her out to the paparazzi, why not the siblings who have been equally vocal? The public and the media won't let that contradiction slide. If Meghan embraces Thomas Sr. but continues to reject Samantha and Thomas Jr., it risks making the whole reunion look strategic rather than sincere. On the other hand, if she attempts to fold them into the narrative, she loses control. These siblings aren't quiet, obedient background players. They are outspoken, independent, and in Samantha's case, combative. Any reunion with them could easily spiral into new drama. This is why the siblings are such a headache for Meghan. They complicate the story. They remind the world that her family fractures aren't neatly contained to one parent, but stretch across her entire bloodline. And in a divorce or custody battle scenario, their voices could be weaponized, either by Meghan to show she's reclaiming family ties, or by Harry's camp to highlight the chaos she left behind. Outro. That's it for this video, but what do you think? Is Meghan really trying to reunite with her family, or is this just another PR move? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss the next update.